if you're only happy when things go right for you, you have like, basically one outlet, one fountain, one place where the happiness can spurt out of, right? One happiness generator, you. Yeah. If you can actually just find it in your heart, in meditation, whatever, to truly connect with the world and appreciate when someone else wins, appreciate the joy they feel, and don't feel this personal, them or me. Like, there's enough joy for all of us, and be happy in another's joy, then we have millions and millions, infinite sources of joy instead of just that one, right? And it's like so cool. So we're restricting ourselves to this me against the world. I'm a victim. Well, these cats are winning. Well, good for them. Like, that's awesome. I hope I can figure out how to do that too. Whatever that means, what winning means. But like, it's really interesting when you bring that kind of, just like just having the heart, the center, everything. Like, you bring that same heart to a conversation with, that cousin or that aunt that's over for the holidays, and they sit down with you, and everyone's like, how did you sit with that aunt for 3 hours? And she was probably talking your ear off about her Pilates and whatever the heck she's into this time of the year. She's out of control. She's crazy. She's always changing new hobbies. So what? She's excited, man, and she wanted to talk, and like, I can be excited for her and be like, yeah, you like to spin around on your head and spit wooden nickels. That's cool, man. Like, that's making you happy. Like, why am I, I can be happy about that. I choose. Like, that's where our agency, I think, comes. And like, how are we gonna act? Like, how are we gonna respond to life, to like the things that life brings at us? So our response to things can be one of love, of care, of wonder, of like, that's great. Like, hey, we're all on one team, we're doing one thing, and I think that love for others, that wishing others well, and that wishing others well kind of goes down to metta, or loving kindness, which is another beautiful Buddhist concept that, spans tons of traditions and tons of different lineages, I'm sure. But it's wishing another, happiness, health, love, peace. We did some of that in the meditation. That's some of the core of a lot of the practice I've done in the last 10, 15 years. Metta meditation is, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be loved, may you be safe. Some version of that. You're basically saying to another, in your meditation, in your heart's mind, in your prayer pose, whatever, however you meditate, you're basically bringing these personas into your heart. And you start with someone that lights your heart up. For me, it might be this dog Bixby. I think about him and I'm like, man, when I think about him with my eyes closed, my heart, and I ask people to think from their hearts during this meditation, right? And like, I think about, close your eyes and think about someone who lights up your heart. And we can all, hopefully we can all do that, right? Hopefully there's one or two people in our life that maybe still make our heart light up. And trust me, there's tons of people that are struggling and aren't even at that place. But if we can find someone, we start there with someone that lights our heart up, and may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe. You go through those iterations, may you be happy, healthy, safe, and you really think from your heart. You feel it physically from your heart, and that whole feel, like your whole body, your whole being, man, just feeling like may you be, and saying these things. It's usually easy with someone that opens your heart. So you do that. You go through that first. May you be happy. You go through those things, and then next, I usually bring it back. I kind of bring an inner child to this, which is different. I don't know that Metta does a lot of this, but you can bring the self in, And I bring in myself, as a young kid where I had a lot of fear, where, things were uncertain in my household, on the block, and with finances, with the way things were, and, crazy shit going on. Like, so you bring that kid, and all of us have experienced something between the ages of 5 and 15 or 5 and 25, or whatever, where we've had a tough time, and you kind of bring that kid, and this is hard at first. It was for me. I don't know how we got on this tangent, but it kind of, I guess it kind of talks to how I've learned to treat people through this practice. So like, you bring in the inner child next. So after your heart's really open from that, beautiful puppy or your loving life or whatever it is, your heart's really open, and you could bring that child in, and you could maybe be happy, maybe be healthy, and you start to nurture a relationship with this child. And that's at the core of a lot of other work I do, the stuff down south where inner child work is the core of our retreats. There's all kinds of other stuff involved, but like inner child at the core, we're trying to get people to truly care for themselves, right? So like truly treat themselves like someone they're responsible for, and start putting yourself first, right? Putting the oxygen mask on before you help others. So bring in the inner child next, and then kind of go through that iteration of, maybe be happy, maybe be healthy, maybe be, safe, maybe be loved. You kind of go through that. And then after that, we go to something called a neutral person. So like a neutral person is someone that you get coffee from in the store every day, on the way to work, and you don't say hi to, or the janitor you pass and don't, talk with, you don't know their name, you don't ever humanize this person. And we all have people in our lives like that. We might not. If not, you can just pick someone, random that you've seen, and just remember their face. Or we say if someone doesn't have that, someone that neutral, if it's hard, you can think of the people you haven't met yet. But you bring in someone neutral into your heart, and you could focus on someone as a love object for, 30 days of meditation. Someone in your community that, you just might see at the gas station, someone who fills your car in the state of Oregon until last year, right? You bring that neutral person in, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you be loved, and you're really feeling this. And that's what's so important about it, right? You're feeling this with your heart, with all of you, with more than just thinking. This is more. This is a deep feeling of may you be happy, may you be feeling, giving the love to this neutral person. And then finally, I finish always with the fourth persona is usually someone I'm having difficulty communicating with. So that could be somebody, we're very close with, someone, maybe we're estranged and it's like really bad. If you want to dive deep, maybe it's someone you just have an altercation with at work, or, someone you think you pissed somebody off, or whatever it is. You're just having a little rub with someone. You bring that person in. Again, maybe happy, maybe healthy, and you really try to feel that for them. And it might be hard at first, it might take lots of time for you to deal with all these different personas in your life and really, really sink open into that loving acceptance that we talked about, right? Like love has no enemies. Love accepts everything. Like you can come at love with a knife and try and like stab me and kill me, and I still love you. I still accept you. Come on. Like love has no enemies, right? So like if you can keep dropping into that, and that's available to all of us. That's who we are. That's at my understanding, at least in my, what I've come to learn and find out through my experiences, that's the one without a second. The loving awareness, the loving acceptance, the brimming emptiness, as some of my teachers would say, this one loving source and accepting source of all that is. And we can drop into that in meditation and accept all these different personas, and it kind of does something for it's done a lot for my 3D life. How this meat blob, this soul suit shows up and talks, and this thing talks through me, through this suit, this bag of bones, man. This avatar we got for this ride. That I think I show up in a way that's more loving and accepting for others because of that meditation, because of the time that I spent intentionally saying, I don't want to be sad all the time. I don't want to be angry all the time, man. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to try and have to beat my chest because I'm insecure as shit. I don't want to overreact, and I was noticing as I sat in more and more meditation that all those reactions and things were built out of fear and adversity and things that I'd been through that, was kind of old programming that maybe got me somewhere, but wasn't serving me anymore. And I was just noticed, if you just slow down and pay attention to the way you're feeling, our state, our true state is peace and love. It's just, that's what it is. And if it's not that, we have a right to that, we have a right to that peace inside. And I didn't know that for most of my life. Like, I didn't know we had maybe a right's too strong of a word, but we have that ability to have peace in the midst of the craziest storm and the craziest chaos. We can still have peace and understanding and love and acceptance of all of it. Now, this mantra that I've been saying lately, like, what if I was all right with all this shit? Like, all of it, like, as bad and messed up as, what would it look like or feel like if I was truly all right with all of it? And let me just feel that. Let me sit for a minute. Like, what would happen then? Like, truly feel it, feel into it. Again, with the heart, not just the head, but the heart, like, feeling into what that would feel like to just be okay with things. Like, not saying we're going to get steamrolled in our whole life and, give up and not care about things. No, but just treating more of life like the weather. Like, it's raining outside. Oh man, like, we can sit here and we probably have friends, and we might have been these people in our lives where they're just gonna bitch about the weather and the rain when it's raining. It's like, you just grab an umbrella, you put your, rain suit on, and then you go out and do what you gotta do. Like, that's the weather, baby. How much of our life is like that? Like, we think we can control a lot. We really have. How we respond to things is a big thing. How we plan, how we set ourselves up, how we prepare, how we communicate.
But isn't that statement of the weather similar to, like, well, if you like the sun, but you're in the rainforest, shouldn't you just change your environment then?
Exactly. So the weather, great point, man. So if the weather's constantly not to your liking, change your environment, right? Change the weather. But the things that you can't change, like, you can change your environment, you can't change the weather. It's kind of what I was saying. So, like, how many things in your life are like the weather that you just keep complaining about instead of just accepting them? Like, like politics, yeah. This president, and then the next year, this president, and the next year, this president, and everybody's like so mad. And it's like, yo, if we just kind of got it, like, you could accept who the president is and just be like, all right, this is our president right now, and wouldn't life be a smoother ride? You're not, as the Taoists or the Taoists would say, like, you're not pushing the river, you're not going against the current, man. Like, the current's flowing. Like, there's you can't work against gravity, my old CEO used to say. Like, you can't work against gravity. He'd always say, Riz, is this gravity? Are we talking about gravity in this situation? Like, is this some shit that, like, a big market wind that we can't overcome? Like, we got to deal with, like shipping, like, and big shipping, like when you're shipping millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff, things are going to get hurt. Like, things are going to get broken. There's going to be a 2%, 2% is, I think, there's a percentage that, like, the industry for different sizes of shipments, they say shipping damage, you're going to take a 2% hit on your margin or whatever. Like, so there's associated things that are just gravity, like, with systems and with the way things are that you just gotta accept. And, like, I don't know, there's just a lot of things in life that we just don't accept. And, I guess the idea kind of, there's a lot of nuance there, like, in your question, right? So, like, what about changing your environment? That's big. Like, that's another question. Yeah, that is internal, because that's a decision. I'm going to take myself out of this because I can't change it. So it goes back to, like, the serenity prayer, like, accept the things I can't change the things I have the courage to know the difference, like, or the wisdom to know the difference.
But what happens then, easy enough that you're well off, I'm going to just move here. And for the most part, it's that easy, but for people that might not be in the same economic situation or still getting to that, and they want to change their environment, they could be in the hood, they could be in the whitest neighborhood, they could be in whatever it is that they're like, I don't fit here, and I need to move, but I can't right now. So I can't control that, but what can I do now before that comes?
That's a beautiful question. Yeah, I think, for me, at least what I've done, and you just, like, described a lot of my life, dude. Like, I made a lot of choices in my life at a young age, but there were a lot of choices made for me. You're right, like, the way I grew up, the things that happened in childhood, and then, I chose to go to West Point, and I chose to go in the military, and, like, choosing to do those things, I didn't really know fully what I was doing, right? Like, I just ended up in this life where now, for 9 years, 4 years at the academy and 5 years, you know, as an officer with, you know, combat and stuff, like in an army at war the whole time, in wartime the whole time I was in, you know. So like those 9 years, I didn't have a lot of choices, man. Like I couldn't wear what I wanted to, right? Like I couldn't. So for me at least, I looked at it and I said to myself, like, you know, can I survive here? And is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, do I want to stay in this environment? Because at any time you can get out, you know, you can figure a way out of it. Like you can pay a bunch of money back from West Point, or you could leave. You always have a choice. I mean, like, you know, to be or not to be, right? We'll go back to William Shakespeare. Like you know, it's a morbid fact of life. Like you always have a choice, right? You truly have a choice in every situation. Like, do I want to be in this situation, or do I want to change it? And like, I think it takes a lot of like, just getting quiet with yourself and knowing what you want. And like, hey, I can't change anything in this situation right now. I'm boxed in, and I know this for 3 months, right? Or 3 years, or it'll be until now that I can, you know, get my opportunity to get out of this situation. Maybe it's a job I hate, or, you know, whatever it is, like a place I live, roommates, whatever. There's situations we gotta, so that at that moment, for me, it's always been about asking, all right, like in this boxed in situation, how can I live the best? Like, how can I be my happiest, man? Mm-hmm. And it usually starts with my attitude. Because once I've realized, all right, this is, you just take things in two columns. Shit I can control, shit I can't. You bring all this shit you can't control into one column, okay, here's the shit I can. What can I do here?
But how do you define attitude? Just
yeah,
thing, but just
great. Yeah, so my attitude is basically the disposition, the way I'm going to choose. You hear what I just said? Choose to feel about this situation. It is a choice. And we don't think about it because it happens so quickly, from feelings, from perceptions, thoughts, feelings, and then, you know, that's it. But we can choose. We can actually choose. Like, if we use a little bit of, you know, quietness and sitting for a moment, hey, in this situation, you know, for these next 90 days, I got to do this job. Like, what, you know, laying these bricks, or, you know, shit, man, sorting baseball cards. I did for hours, like in the back of a baseball card shop. Like, but like, I knew that I was there because I wanted to make money, because I wanted a bike, you know, or I wanted a stereo system, or I wanted a turntable, or whatever it was I wanted as a kid. Like, I knew that, hey, I got to put this in to do that. Or even there were other times when I was just in a really scary situation where, you know, I couldn't control it. You know, and maybe you're in a household that's like scary, and your parents are fighting, and that shit's scary as hell, and that happens everywhere, man. And like, you know, for me, if we kind of have inner peace as our guide, right? Like, I wanted to be, you know, okay. And like, so we kind of get ourselves to change the environment, or we say, man, there's a way I can hide here for a little while, and I'm going to have to hide, you know, and or there's a way I can sneak away, or do this or do that. So I think that's a really interesting nuance that you bring up about like the kind of, you know, where is that, when do I change my environment? Like, because I think if you keep like, if you know, hey, I have a choice in this, like I can feel good about this. You know, once you accept the environment, I think once it's really about acceptance. Like, if this environment is going to be so detrimental to me that I can't live like this, then I'm going to have to get out, right? Like, that's usually what it is. But
you have to accept where you are.
I think so, to flourish. Like, I don't think you can flourish without first accepting where you are. Like, I don't think you can grow and move forward without accepting the spot that you're in. And that might be backed against the wall with nothing left, like all screwed up. If you don't really accept that and come into that and say, shit, I got nothing, or whatever it is, and accept where you are, it's really hard to grow and move forward. So I think that acceptance of, yeah, this is where I'm going to be. And once you accept it, it's like, okay, this is where I am, and this is what I have, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I can control. Cool. Within that little world, then let's make that our world, that little piece that we can control. I can control my attitude about how I show up to this world. You know what? I'm going to sort these baseball cards in the best stacks. I'm going to do super neat. I'm going to make them look super spectacular. I'm going to put a creative finish on it. You know, I'm going to be kind to these people who are shitty to me at work. I'm going to say it, make it a challenge. Like, how can I change them through my true kindness and love and like acceptance of all their negativity or whatever, and just not hit them back? Because that's another crazy thing, man. Think about this shit for a minute. Like, I was working with this guy on my team, and he's like, yeah, he's pissed off at this vice president. He's like, this VP isn't calling me back. He doesn't return my calls, and when he does, it's like a short, snide text, like 24 hours late. And I'm like, wow, really? And he's like, yeah, man. I'm like, so how have you responded to that? He goes, I do the same shit. That's how I treat him, right back to him. So I'm just, so I listened to that. I said, man, I said, let's just frame that for a minute, bro. I'm like, because I've done it my whole life. We all have. He goes, what? I'm like, we see something in the world that we hate, like, or we just don't prefer. Like, it doesn't feel good. Something that makes us feel bad. Somebody put something in the world that made us feel bad, and we go ahead and put that same stuff right into the world. Like, we're mimicking a behavior we say we hate. We're mimicking a behavior that we say is wrong, is not nice. It's like harmful, man. It hurt my heart when you did that. So now we're going to go hurt hearts? That is so powerless and weak. The powerful stand, right, is like Martin Luther King said, man. Like, it's meeting, hate with love, and actually going, no, man, I'm gonna show love to this cat. I'm not gonna dim my light because their light's off. Here I come in shining with a big heart, trying to contribute, and your light's turned off, and you don't wanna. I don't have to turn mine off. What are we doing? Why drop and match that energy, that vibration? Why not actually try to illuminate them and help and be there? Obviously it gets to a point where it could be toxic for yourself, and that's where you got to really put the self-love first. That's why I keep saying the heart first. Your own heart. Take care of it. Fill this tank up so we can fill up others, man. But also, again, like wanting the best for others and having that love for others. It does fill you up because you have more sources of happiness and joy. It's not just only me. Like, I root for everyone. Like, I've even gotten to a point now with like sports teams. Like, I'm just happy to see like the athletes win. There's a few old teams that I root for, and I love, but I'm like at a stage in my life now, I love sports. I've been athletic my whole life. I love the everything about it. I owe so much of my life to sports, but like, I can just appreciate it without like the competition and taking sides. Like, I can appreciate the athleticism and the awesome plays without having this like crazy parochial, like fervent, my team, lost, I'm gonna break the TV. Like, I had some shit like that earlier in life, like I went through stages like that. Like, but like, it's really interesting to come to a place where you can have multiple sources of joy and know that it's not like a zero-sum game. Like, we can all have abundance. We can all root for each other, and we can find love.